Hi, this is Tim of the Watchbox on assignment with Europa Star magazine at SIHH 2019. Greubel Forsey Balancier fully gem set, scaling up and scaling down. Scaling up in the use of 200 gems, actually over 200, all with invisible settings. You can't actually see the pincers that bind them, only the white gold frames of the bezel, the case, and the lugs. Now the watch was originally released in 2017 in 43.5 millimeters. This one is 39.6, so it's far more wearable, though extravagant. The case back featuring the graphics representing the philosophy of Greubel Forsey as a manufacturer. Greubel Forsey out in Les Chaux-de-Fonds, 100 people, 100 watches a year. Frosted Maillot or German silver style bridges, which you can see are left in more of a natural auburn hue than the usual rhodium-plated Greubel Forsey Maillot. You can see the frosted finish, and then all of that flanking a mother of pearl hour and minute dial with small seconds in gold, and the power reserve scale up to 72 hours, likewise in gold. Faceted and specular polished balance bridge, aerodynamic balance, over coil hairspring. You can see it beating away with its slow cadence. The watch absolutely exceptional in every respect. It's a lot, it's polarizing, but Greubel Forsey has never skirted controversy. And this is what qualifies as a mid-size at Greubel Forsey. The 2019 Balancier, essentially their entry-level watch. There's nothing entry-level about this timepiece, though it has been sized down from 43.5 as released in 2017 to a more wearable and versatile 39.6 for 2019. Now let's start with the graphics. Always one of the first questions I receive about Greubel Forsey watches: what does it mean? Essentially, it's the philosophy of the company, the know-how, the beautiful finishing, traditional craft, preserving the arts, continuing the heritage. That's basically what it means in a nutshell. Now you turn the watch over, and by the way, look at the frosted surrounds around each of the chaton fixed jewels. Now turn it all over, and it's just as traditional on the front, at least in terms of material, not in terms of presentation. Rotate this one around. You can see that Greubel Forsey likes to have movements with depth, and the depth is extraordinary. Also a dramatically cambered sapphire to let you look at this watch diagonally, not just vertically. You can see small seconds and power reserve both in white gold. The power reserve and the small seconds featuring lacquer to calibrate them. You'll note that there is an extended and blued power reserve index. The hours and the minutes of the day with blued and faceted alpha style hands. Turn it over to the balance, and you can see the namesake feature of the watch, the balance, featuring a relatively slow beat and an oversized free-sprung aerodynamic style balance. The hairspring and the balance both made in Les Chaux-de-Fonds. Greubel Forsey has 100 people to make roughly 100 watches a year. With all of the arts contained internally, they're able to make components like hairsprings and balances. The balance bridge itself has been finished in a specular or black finish, but unconventionally it's been faceted, so it has a little bit of a gem-like twinkle. The architecture is free-sprung and adjusted in 6 positions. You can see a little bit of the motion works inside the 3-dimensional and evacuated primary dial, and it's important to note that the 72-hour power reserve is provided by twin stacked barrels. They operate at a fast rate to reduce the torque variance to the escapement. It's also important to note that with a 72-hour power reserve, the watch has impressive autonomy, but in my opinion, the most thoughtful feature with respect to power reserve is the fact that this manual wind watch cannot accidentally be overwound. There is a decoupler or slipping bridle inside the barrels, a feature usually accorded only to automatics. You can see that the lugs themselves are both concave and black polished. They turn inward somewhat, and they are welded on, so you can see that sharp cleft between the satin finish of the case and the black polish of the lugs, and that is the hallmark of double finish and soldered lugs, whereby all the evidence of the weld is removed, and then the lug and case band are finished in differential styles. You can see that the bezel has been minimized, almost like a silver halo. In white gold, they're going to make 33 of these. Get them while they're still available, because Greubel Forsey tends to go fast. And this is the Greubel Forsey art piece Historique, prototype of an 11-piece series in platinum. The watch is 15.95 millimeters thick, 44 millimeters in platinum. You can see it features hybrid clasp of platinum and white gold, large rectangular scale alligator leather, beautifully blued, natural color on the underside, a case featuring both the super graphics that speak to the philosophy of the Greubel Forsey manufacturer of Les Chaux-de-Fonds, roughly 100 people and 100 watches a year, and you can see the sharp cleft between the lugs and the case band. The case band, by the way, featuring graphics on both sides, screw affixed, and a coaxial pusher inside the crown that allows you to hide the scrolling minutes track on the primary dial. Now you can see the tourbillon, we'll get nice and close, in traditional Greubel Forsey fashion, angled at 30 degrees, double tourbillon, a 1 minute and a 4 minute on a single bridge. You can see everything is black polished. You also note that the base plate in a frosted finish is blued titanium. The small seconds as well as the power reserve scale, both executed in white gold. And you can see the scrolling minutes and scrolling hours along the mega graphics of the dial side. Now the timepiece does have a manual wind movement with remarkably a 72-hour power reserve thanks to twin stacked mainspring barrels. The signatures of the masters themselves on the caseback, Robert Greubel and Stephen Forsey. You can see that the jewels are set in chaton, and this is traditional watchmaking, harking back to the pocket watch era. The tourbillon, no less beautiful on the underside. Absolutely nothing is taken for granted. Each screw features a black polished head, a chamfered slot, and a chamfered circumference. Those are 100 Swiss franc screws. And how much have they thought this out? Well, you cannot accidentally overwind this watch. It features a decoupler, just like an automatic. Why every manual wind doesn't have it, I don't know, but you do get your money's worth with a Greubel Forsey. Very few can afford this watch, but hopefully, thanks to this video, most will be able to appreciate it. Stay with our coverage of SIHH 2019 on Watchbox Studios and Europa Star Magazine.